do you want me to repeat the question back to you?
Yeah, so I'm Savannah student.
It's Savanna. Okay, well, maybe we start with that. My name is Savanna. Nice to meet you. And are you new to yoga? Okay, cool. So don't be mad if I don't take it easy on you today. I'm really just a spiritual being having a human experience, trying to figure it out and help people along the way. I think I brought this up before, but I really just, when I quit my 9 to 5, and I think ever since then, like that, my inner child, my true being really just came out of like, I want to become the best version of myself in mind, body, and spirit, and inspire a generation to do the same in my process. So whether I'm modeling, whether I'm teaching yoga, doing the influencer stuff, talking with these brands, like no matter what I'm doing in every interaction, I want to inspire people to be the best version of themselves in mind, body, and spirit. So through the work that I'm doing, and just like me being a person, I feel like that's my calling, and that's what I try to do each and every day. Being from New York, I think is being from New York is a huge blessing. Having traveled, starting from a young age, and like being able to see the world and like see things differently, I've always had this like thirst for travel and experiencing and learning new things. So I say this to say, like, I'm super grateful to have New York as a home base. I never felt called to like be attached to like one place or like one job or like one thing. Being able to just be a free spirit, I guess. So yeah, I definitely see myself just frolicking around the world for the rest of my life. So with Sip and Stretch, with Feel Good Stretch, just S3 Yoga as a whole, my mission is to get people on the mat and make yoga accessible. So whether you're a beginner, well-seasoned yogi, or anything in between, it's really caters to giving you what you need in this very moment, especially with the Sip and Stretch. A lot of my clients are beginners, and with S3 Yoga, I'm working with people of color, young millennials, athletes, a lot of people who haven't done yoga before, haven't felt that yoga was something that's available to them, or not seeing themselves in a yoga class for a plethora of reasons. Especially in the West, I feel like it's very whitewashed, for lack of better word. Like, I'm still going into yoga classes and being the only person of color in the room. So creating a safe space is really what I'm doing with S3 Yoga. Foot to meet the left, maybe taking a 3-legged chaturanga. Inhale, up dog. Exhale. Social media has been a real big challenge for me in terms of managing my mental health and my mental wellness. However, to your point, like using it as a tool to grow my personal brand and the S3 Yoga business. For me, like, I'll keep it 100 with you. Like, I know there's lots of different like social media strategies and this, that, and the third. Like, I haven't been doing that. I've been really using there's probably like a lot more ways I could be making money as a business. But like really just staying true, like me personally, like I don't like being on it. So I told my manager this too, like using social as a tool to document, not create. So I think I talked about this on the panel the other day of like documenting, showing our community, highlighting our different offerings and classes and our community members. And I think having that authentic approach to it has made it something that draws audiences on social. I think whether you're a content creator or you're just on it in general, I think it goes back to the feeling of like, does this feel good? I know for me, the scrolling every day doesn't feel good. I can't do that, but it's kind of hard when I have to like, I'm making money off of this thing. So with regards to posting, it's my question is always, is this serving? You either have to like serve, what is it, educate, entertain, whatever, but is it coming from a place of service? That's kind of like my special. So even if I am posting a bikini pic, it's loving your body.
All of us.
Say what?
We're not serving all of us.
But for me, in terms of my messaging and from, I guess, your perspective too, it's how am I serving? So even if it's a bikini pic, if it's a panel, if it's a yoga pic, whatever it is, how am I serving my audience? Like, what are they taking away from this versus just look at me, this is what I'm doing. So that's kind of like my threshold in terms of creating content. Dude, I'm solopreneur. Like, I'm doing this everything on my own. I'm teaching the classes, I'm setting it up, I'm running the socials, all these things. I feel like no one talks about this, especially when you're first starting out. And I'm kind of in this window of like, I looked at my LinkedIn, I've been doing this yoga thing, I've been doing this for almost 5 years now. And I mean, the growth has been awesome, but like, so I feel like I'm in that mid-range of like, I ain't new to this, I'm true to this. I've been doing it for a bit. But I feel like I'm still just starting out in a lot of ways. So yeah, definitely like building that out. So I didn't necessarily have like this grand idea of like, I'm gonna start this business and do X, Y, and Z. It was more so me following my intuition. And like, so for that reason, like didn't want to like raise capital and then have that overhead and that stress, right? I'm like, how can I build this and like grow it organically and authentically to the need of like, well, people are gonna wanna come and like wanna help me, and I'll cross that bridge when I get there. But I felt like there's also a lot of power in being self-sustainable. Of course, like building the community and things like that, but being able to build this from the ground up on my own I didn't start with any money. I had no money. Like, so it's like, yeah, like how can I get mats donated? How can I, charge tickets at the door? How can I get the space for free? Like all of these things to now, like you could see the vision and like see what we're doing. But in the very beginning, like I had to do that on my own. I grew up in I'd say upper middle class, right? My dad was from the South Bronx. My mom's from like Westchester. However, and I grew up in Manhattan, all whites. Not saying white is like good or bad, but like in these like privileged environments. That's where I grew up on the day to day. However, I was volunteering at the women's shelter, like raising food for the canned food drive. Like my dad and my mom were very intentional about, yeah, this is where we are, but this is where we're from. And so like going from different spaces of like serving other communities and then also going to these $2,000 plate dinners since I was little. So like seeing that was also powerful in terms of thinking about like my network and how I want to grow these things. So now, I say this to say, having that balance is really integral in my upbringing, and then also now as an adult, running a business where I am in these spaces like a Soho House or wherever, but also like bringing the hood with me, or like also making sure I am teaching in underprivileged communities as well. So like having that balance, what we talk about with the logo, right? But to answer your question, I think, yeah, the spaces that you're in, your network, your community is so important in terms of becoming just who you are as a person, but also as an entrepreneur. So I quit my job I saved maybe 3 months, had no money, no plan, no nothing. But I was like, I think a Soho House membership would be a good idea. So literally, that's what I did, and it has paid off time and time again, right? So I think, now where it's like I have this partnership with this community and being able to provide the yoga programming now and connect with so many amazing creatives and entrepreneurs who are also doing dope shit, I think your community is everything. So definitely that membership paid off. I really think, honestly, like I almost feel weird for like charging and like making this a business, because like I genuinely feel like this is my dharma, this is my way to give back, especially being in this Western society, especially being in the sports and entertainment, fashion industries. That's I mean, everything in the West is like capitalism, right? So with yoga, I'm finding no matter who I'm teaching, no matter what your walk of life, and that's kind of what we started the S3 business around, of like, this is my way of giving back to the world, and, you know, being able to support myself in the process is honestly just an added benefit. Like, I would do this, and I started doing this, and I will continue to do this, not for the money. Obviously, wellness, like everything else in America, has been commodified, and I think that it's really important for us to find what works for you as an individual. You know, the work works, but you got to do the work. You got to show up every day. Like, for me necessarily, I haven't tapped into the massage therapy yet, and I'm looking forward to that. Like, for me, it's the yoga. Like, for whoever it is, whatever you're doing, I encourage you to just like find your thing, like that'll get you started. And so I think, to go back to bring it full circle to your question, I'm most excited about people unapologetically having these conversations. I don't think we were having a panel like this 5 years ago, just, you know, off the rip. So I would say that. As an entrepreneur, as a elite model, and as like this influencer, right? I always say right now it's like a trifecta of like what I'm doing. I think from a business standpoint, it's the yoga, S3 yoga, modeling, and influencer brand partnerships, stuff like that. I honestly couldn't do one without the other. Like, the yoga really keeps me grounded, and like being like, there's something about like service and like giving that is just like the most like beautiful thing I think one can do. So that really keeps me sane when I'm over here running for castings, doing like a lot more of like this surface level things. But even I would offer, like, no matter what you're doing as an entrepreneur, and whether you're working, whether you're in your communities, of like, how can I give, how can I serve? Even when I'm on set modeling, it's like, all right, how can I bring this brand to life in the best authentic way? How can I inspire audiences, young girls who are trying to model to also love their bodies and like do whatever? So I think keeping service at the forefront of no matter what I'm doing is kind of what keeps me going and keeps me sane, because otherwise this shit will eat you alive and it's not sustainable. So I think I will be doing yoga for the rest of my life. I remember taking my first yoga class in Bali, and I was like, holy shit, I think I said this before, but I was like, holy shit, this mind, body, spirit connection I've never experienced anything like this in my life. It's low impact, so I could do this shit when I'm 100, and I need to give this to our people. Like, this healing is like, we are worthy of doing we are worthy of being in these prime spaces, quality level yoga classes, on a roof at a private membership club, or wherever you are. Like, we are worthy of this wellness, and that's really what I want to do here on out. Super grateful for our Soho House community for providing this space, and kind of brings me to this Sip and Stretch series that we started a few years ago, and that's the birth child of me finding balance, right? I'd find myself like going to live on Sunday and turning up, and then trying to get my ass to 9 a.m. yoga, and that was a struggle. I mean, we have that 11 a.m. class tomorrow, like, fuck. But yeah, so it's really just to get you guys on the mat, making it accessible, fun, a feel-good flow. So that's what we're gonna do this evening. I know we have the after party, so we won't sweat too much. This will just be a feel-good vinyasa style flow. We'll get started slow. We'll do some sun salutations, and then get our bodies into more restorative postures at the end. For someone who wants to get into yoga, I say just start going to yoga classes. I know they're expensive. Follow me on Insta, I'll give you free classes. All my classes I really try to make accessible to people of all like income levels and that, because yoga like can be expensive. But I say start just going to classes. When I say start going to classes, I think that's kind of how I got started, of just like be a student. Even now that I'm an instructor, like we always say in yoga, like we're forever a student. I'm forever learning. So just start taking classes. And then I would say to Destiny and whoever, like, the internet. There's so many resources. I know teacher trainings are expensive. Now there's so many different organizations that are giving free scholarships for teacher trainings, ask to apprentice. And then decide like what if you want to do it like online. Now you have the online options for these teacher trainings. So I definitely say just start there. And I'd say this to any, like, whether a yoga instructor, entrepreneur, like looking to start out, like just decide that you're gonna do it, and then the universe will fucking align. Like, decide and it will align. Put yourself out there, be vulnerable, like, hey, this is what I'm trying to do. When you meet people, like that's really, I think, priceless in terms of, starting to build something sustainable and valuable.
Always like fully transparent. So when I was diagnosed with the bipolar 2, it was after going to a therapist and feeling like something was off. So I went to a psychiatrist and was diagnosed with bipolar 2. And for me, like I tried everything. Like I was like, let's try the medication, let's see what works, let's see, journaling, talk therapy, all of these things. I think, I'm always forever a student. And for me, the medication after a few months, I didn't like how my body reacted to it. So I decided to really just manage my highs, like the happy times, and then these depressive episodes. It's like the fluctuation back and forth was driving me crazy. So I've been managing it through my yoga practice, through meditation, through my journaling, through eating healthy, right? All of these things that we hear trainers and people tell us we need to do. But for me, that's really how I've been able to manage my mental health. Being able to bring yoga to my community, whether one person comes to a class or 500, being able to affect one person, every DM I get, every message after class I get, I already won.
I loved yoga early on when I first discovered it. I just always felt out of place. And I think the thing that makes her classes so special is her energy, the fact that she's engaging people of color, young people. She always says millennials, but she's engaging Gen X too, and athletes. And I think that engaging in more diverse populations in yoga is really important, just not only for physical health, but for mental health as well. And I'm really proud of her for being so open about that.
So this is the space that I actually took my first yoga class with her, and it was only 3 people. And the reason I took her class, obviously, was because she was a Black woman, and I don't really see that very often. So that was the first thing that intrigued me. And then the second thing was just how relatable and how familiar she was. She just reminded me of myself. So that was one of the main reasons. And just, the space that she opened up. She opened up a space. She still opens up a space every week for free for her community. So just like she shows up for us, I want to be able to show up for her.
And after the first class, I got everything that I was looking for. And more than I was expecting. So not only did I get the movement of yoga and being able to release all the ailments and the pain in my body, I felt like it was helping me release and move some of the ailments that I was holding in my mind and holding in my heart. And what it really started to do was work through my anxiety, which is a big thing of mine. So working through my anxiety and just giving me a clear level head was the best experience I had in the first class.
The vision was always there to be in this place, but you obviously, when you start something, you kind of have to really put in the work first. So Savanna, I, and a few others in Miami, that's exactly what we did. We worked with venues in Miami and really built it from the ground up, and just really had to kind of be humble in the fact that it's not going to be crowded, it's not going to be sold out, it's not going to be pretty. But if you stick to the process and kind of trust the work, eventually you can be here, and that's where we're at today. So it's really gratifying, and it feels special to kind of be here and watch the growth from just a few years ago, where we had maybe 2-3 people at our events, to now having a rooftop, the view of New York. It's special.
the more people I get on the mat is my goal. So through online, through growing our national and international programming, just getting as many people as I can on the mat would be my measure of success. I'm always like, give more than you take. So I really don't want to ask too much of anyone. I really genuinely, this is my dharma. This is why I'm here, to serve you. So in terms of how you can support me, is to show up for yourself on and off the yoga mat each and every day. And if you need support in doing that, I am here.
I want to create something bigger than myself. Point blank. I want to be able to help people. I want to be able to help people. And there's two things, I think, in my decision to create this business that I am in the beginning stages, the most beginning stages possible. Like, that's where I'm at. And I'm like, not even at that stage yet. Of creating this business, Simple Living, High Thinking.
Life is all about balance, guys. After our yoga, we be sipping, stretching, pulling. You know the vibes.